All right. Good evening, parents. Thank y'all for joining us on this Thursday night. Looking forward to volleyball season. What we're going to do, just as an overview, we're going to go through very quickly some major points of communication information that you'll need for this volleyball season. We'll go over a little bit of the expectations and what we're looking forward to. And then we're going to have the majority of our meeting be a time for you to ask questions. So you'll notice everybody is on mute. And what you'll do is, as you want to ask a question, you'll put it in the chat box, and I will go through and answer those as we go throughout the meeting. This meeting will be recorded, and when we're done, we'll upload it to our YouTube channel, and then we'll post that along with the rule book for volleyball. We'll send that out to all parents so that everybody has everything they need going into next season. Just real quick to get started, my name is Jack Miller. If you have not been here, or if you've only been here in the last 2 years, you probably have not met me at Jeep. I was the sports director here, started 5 years ago, and then 3 years ago, went to go to our downtown site to run and start their program with soccer. Now coming back to Jeep officially this year to run the sports program full time. It's my 7th year as a sports director for the YMCA and 5th year here in Columbia. To give you an idea, if you have only been here for the last couple of years, when we first started this volleyball program, I think it was 4 years ago, if not more, we had about 20 girls playing in our league, and now we are up to about 240 kids, between 220 and 240 kids in our league, and seeing a significant amount of boys also join the league now as well. So really excited for what this league is offering in the recreational volleyball community. I mean, what we're able to give, even having an older age group going up to 17 years old that we don't do with any of our other sports. So I really, really love this program. I'm really excited. I'll be transparent. A lot of what I heard when I came back to Jeep was some rumblings about volleyball and that it just had not been in the best spot. So I'm excited to come back to the program that we built here for 2 years, to come back to it and hopefully be able to see what's needed and put some more love into it. I'm really excited. This program is one of my favorite programs that we do here in the Y. Already excited to have had some conversations with coaches that are coming back about what we're going to be able to do and some new things we're doing. So really, really excited. I will say for parents, as what I've said too, is a kind of a cautionary warning. I please don't expect immediate changes. I've heard some things that people would like to have changed, but I want to see an entire season this fall, and then I'll evaluate and see where we need to go, and we'll come out in the spring. We already have some ideas on how that might look a little bit different, but really excited about how we can kind of take this program forward just this fall and in the next spring. Some basics, just to give everybody dates and make sure everybody's on the same page. This coming Saturday, August 12th, we will have a clinic. You can still register. There are still spots open. It's not required. It's just an hour-and-a-half clinic. Cassandra Waddell, who's a longtime player and coach at the club level, is coming in to lead a clinic. More primarily, it's going to be a coach's clinic. So there will be coaches there learning as she demonstrates skills and drills and goes over things, teaches fundamentals, gets the kids into drills and teaching different mechanics. She will also be teaching the coaches. So that's this Saturday, August the 12th. There are still some spots open in all of our age groups, and you can register for that online or in-house up till Friday night at midnight. And then Monday, we will start with practices. So you should be able to see on your player space your assigned practice day and time. And so that will start this coming week. You'll meet for 1 hour every week on that assigned day. So starting this coming week. And then August 26th will be our first Saturday of volleyball games. And games last, so they'll be scheduled every 55 minutes, which I know everybody, why not just an hour? We do try to trim as much as possible because we have a lot of games to put on a small court throughout a whole day. So 55 minutes will be scheduled. So the first games will start at 8:45, and then the next game's at 9:40, and the next game's at 10:35, et cetera, all throughout the day. But that is more time than we've typically given in the past. So we're hoping that gives a lot more time for transition between games to allow teams to get on the court and warm up before a game and to give room for parents to leave the court. So they're hoping that a little bit more, about 10 minutes of added time, will help give some more transition time in between games. And then September 2nd, we will not play any games on September 2nd, and the Y will be closed on September the 4th for Labor Day. We'll then come back and finish out our season, going until October 21st will be the last day of volleyball games. I do not want to give out specific information because I do not know, but I will tell you we are already looking at some things that we can do with volleyball into this fall, including running some academy style training days where you would only sign up for just practices, no games, but a longer 2-hour session led by higher level instructors, collegiate players, collegiate coaches. So we're looking at what that might look like for this fall, and we're going to try to get some more information out during the volleyball season. The equipment that you'll need, so every player will need to provide their own knee pads. We will provide the jersey, and we will have a new jersey this year. So it is a actual volleyball jersey. It's not just a long sleeve 100% poly shirt. It is a volleyball jersey with sleeveless. And so we're excited to try that this season and see if the players like that more. It is a nicer level jersey. So I hope they like it. They may want to wear a shirt under it, and we recognize that. So as you get your jerseys, which should be for your second practice, we should have those to hand out to coaches on your second practice the week of August 21st. And you may find you may want to get a jersey. What we have done, because we know it's important, and we know parents really like this, we have put the color of the jersey for that team in the team name. So if you go to Player Space and you see, for example, the example we're about to look at is Coach Cody pink. And so that means that team is going to have pink jerseys. And so you may want to look at there, see, and be able to go ahead and color coordinate what you would like to do. We will only provide the jersey. Players need to provide knee pads. We don't require a color sock or short. That's completely up to players and coaches. We only require them wear our game jersey. That's the only requirement that we have. And then the knee pads. And any color for any short socks or anything is completely up to players and teams. It's not a requirement on our part. We will have a coupon that I will send out when I send out the recording of this meeting. That is a 20% off coupon to Dick's Sporting Goods, and it's valid for this weekend if you want to go in and get any equipment. This weekend, unfortunately, the only Dick's Sporting Goods that we have in Columbia now is over in Irmo. But if you'd like to go this weekend, 20% off all purchases at the Dick's Sporting Goods from Friday through Monday. All right, next we're going to look at player space example. Give me 1 second to share my screen. The next common questions we get are how to work player space or what you can see on player space, and we want to make sure that everybody is comfortable. So we're going to look at an example together. So this is an example. This is one of our volleyball teams. If you have your link and you've been able to log into player space, when you log into your team, this is the page you should look at on the web page. We understand the app looks a little bit different. But I do recommend, if you haven't looked at it on the website at least one time, I would recommend logging into a computer and seeing it. There is more on the website than on the app. The app is fine. It'll have your schedule, but the website does have a little bit more operation. So when you look at your team name, please focus on the team name. I know that it has a spot where it says coach and it will have a name, but we're really going to focus on the team name, and that's going to tell you the age group, and it's going to tell you coach, and you'll either say coach needed or coach and have a last name. And if you have a last name, that means that that coach is assigned to that team. I think we only have one team right now of the 20 teams we have that is still looking for a coach, which is really, really good for us. And we already have some people that may be interested. So pretty much everybody, when you look at your name, you should see a coach assigned, and pretty much everybody has a coach at this point. And then, like I said, in parentheses, we will have the color of jerseys for that team. The other thing that you'll see here is the first thing, the activity wire. That is a message board, essentially. Consider it like Facebook or any message board where if you post a message, it'll only go to that team. You could ask, hey, is anybody bringing snacks today? Hey, great win, etc. You'll be able to post that on that message board and everybody will see it. You can also post photos and videos from the game. And the most important part is you'll be able to see the schedules. So this is where if you have kids playing in multiple sports, it can get a little confusing because sometimes the schedules just pull from all of your players into one spot. And so you may see a lot of dates on your calendar depending on how many players you have. But here we can see their practice time. It'll show you the day, the time, and the court that they're on. That's your practices. And then here we have the first game on the 26th. It'll tell them the time that it goes till, and the court that they're on. So that's how you would read the schedule. It will read very similarly if you look at it on the app. If you go to the app, there's a little calendar button. They'll say schedule, click on that, or calendar. Click on that, and it'll tell you all of your practices and game schedules. All the game schedules have been uploaded, so you should be able to see your entire schedule for the entire year of fall 2023 in your player space now. Well, for that, the last thing, or the last two things we'll do quickly is if you have not been to Jeep before, if this is your first season with volleyball, you'll see it will say Jeep Court 1 or Jeep Court 2. When you enter the Jeep Riders YMCA, the basketball court is on your right, and the very first court that's there by the pool and by that main hallway, that is Court 2. Court 1 is on the far side. So the one furthest away from the pool, furthest away when you walk in, that is 1. 2 is closest to the pool, closest to that front hallway. So as you walk in, those are the courts you'll be looking for, Courts 1 or Court 2. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to go through the rule book, because we did remake the rule book for this year. We completely rewrote it. And so I felt like it would be valuable for parents if we just quickly go through and read through the rule book together. We'll skip some things, but just go over it so everybody's on the same page. For our team duties, we do ask if you help clear the areas and clear the benches after the games to make sure all the trash is thrown away so we don't have anything left around the gym. Where the benches will be, we're still debating, and you'll see as we get closer to games, we'll have that information out. We are working on, and I cannot guarantee it, but I will say at this meeting, we are working very hard to try to get our basketball goals raised for games. I just there's some things operationally that we have to do and have somebody come out and check for safety of equipment. But we really would like to get those goals raised for games. So if we can do that this year, we will try. I just cannot guarantee it at this time. And that will impact where we put players and coaches in the game. So we'll see. We will have more information on that as we get closer to the 26th. Sportsmanship. I've had some ripples come to me. And so something, just understand, if you've had me as a sports director before, you understand I'm very big on sportsmanship out of our players and our coaches and our parents, especially in how we react to each other and how we react to referees. It will not bother me at all if I need to come into the gym and remove a parent from the gym, and we will not let you return. So we want to set that expectation very up front, that we do not allow unsportsmanlike behavior, yelling at other players, yelling at other coaches, yelling at other parents, or yelling at the official. It's just not going to be allowed. It's not our expectation. Any player that's ejected from the game or asked to leave the facility will automatically be suspended one game and will be on probation and may not be allowed to return. So we will be clamping down on that for all of our sports in 2023. If a team has 4 players or less, 5 minutes after the designated start time, it is a forfeit, and we will just play a scrimmage by combining players onto those teams. We may start with 5, and if a team has to start with 5 players, the other team must play down to 5 players to match. We would not play 6-on-5. Again, talking about player safety, we won't allow hard casts. Soft casts will be permitted as long as they're approved by the official, and we will not allow jewelry, earrings, bracelets, necklaces, etc. If they are going to wear a stud, it needs to be taped on the ear. And then you'll see this matrix here just to give everybody an idea of what we're looking at. Now, this has already changed a little bit just with how what registrations we've taken in. It is 6-on-6 for all of our ages. Every team has between 10 to 12 players, and that changes ever so much as we go throughout the next week and players are still coming in. The net heights should be standard. If you played with us in the past, this is fairly standard. 6.5 feet for the youngest, 7 for the 11 to 13, 4 for the 14 to 17s. Everybody plays 3 games. The first 2 games are to 25 points. The third game is to 15 points. We always play the third set. We'll always play the third set. We'll go over that in a second. Or to time. So when the game is supposed to start, if you have the first game at 8:45, that game will end at 9:30, regardless of where we are at in the matches. The 8 to 10s and 11 13s play with a volley light, and then the 14 to 17s play with a standard volleyball. The size is the same. The volley light is just a little bit softer. The standard is just a standard volleyball. So like I said, we will always play the third set. Even if a team wins the first 2 sets outright, we will always play the third set because we are, again, here for development. We want the kids to play as much as possible. And so we will play that third set. Or if we don't have enough time, if for some reason the first 2 sets took so long we didn't have any time, we could end at the 45-minute mark. But we are going to try to play all 3 sets through as much as possible. Every team will get a 30-second timeout. We use rally scoring. They can cross the center line on return or block, as long as there's not a safety issue or they run into a player. And then you must win by 2 with a cap of 30 points on the first 2 sets and a cap of 20 points for the third set. Must win by 2. For serving, again, we've been around now. When we first started as a league, the majority of our players could not serve. It was just a reality for us. And so we were much less strict about serving when we first started the league. Now, especially from what I've gained, from what I've seen briefly over the last 2 years, our players have gotten better, and we have a lot of players who have stuck with it, who have played volleyball, or who are coming from outside agencies that are significantly better skill level wise. And so we wanted to adjust our serving rules slightly going into the season. Again, we do allow overhand and underhand serves, but for serving, the 8 to 10-year-olds are now going to be required to serve behind the yellow pickleball lines. The 11 to 13s will be required to serve behind the black basketball sideline. And then the 14 to 17s will be required to serve from the end line, the traditional white end line. Each of those is a progression of about 3 feet. So the 8 to 10s will be about 6 to 8 feet up from the 14 to 17s, and then they'll progressively work backwards. But they will be required to serve from behind that line. The goal of this, again, is that we do have higher levels of players now. We need to be thinking about everybody, and we believe everybody can serve from these lines because we allow underhand serves. With the serving team, we do cap at 5 serves. So if one player wins 5 serves in a row, the ball will automatically go to the other team just to keep one player from serving 25 straight points. And then that would be the set. So we will turn it over after 5 serves if they're successful. If a player serves the ball and it does not cross the net, and let me make sure I'm not skipping too far ahead. If a player serves the ball and it does not cross the net, then they would get a reserve in the 8 to 10s. In the 10 to or the 11 to 13s, and I want to make sure because I've been looking over these rules a lot. I want to make sure I get this right. The 11 to 13s will also get a reserve on their first serve if their serve is overhand. So in the 8 to 10s, if their first serve doesn't go over, they're automatically going to get a reserve. If their second serve doesn't go over, it would be a side out. For the 11 to 13s, if their first serve is underhand and it doesn't go over, it would be a side out. If their first serve is overhand and it doesn't go over, they would get a retry. And again, we're giving them the opportunity. We want them to serve overhand, so we're going to help them out a little bit and give them that fail safe of if I miss the first one, I get a second one. If the first serve goes over the net but out of bounds, that counts. It will be a side out point for the other team. The 14 to 17s do not get any reserves. The 14 17s will be a traditional volleyball service. The way we rotate and the way we keep players moving is when we serve, when the team gains the serve back, they will automatically rotate. And so one player will rotate off the court and one player will rotate on the court from the bench. And it just keeps a circular rotation so everybody gets an equal amount of playing time. They must have their uniform and knee pads, and the referees are the sole judge on the court. And we are a 50% playing time, which again works out with the rotation. Everybody's going to play the same amount. So those are our rules. Again, if it sounds similar, that's partially the goal. There's a few things in there that are a little more laid out, and you will get these rules to read over. If there's anything I didn't specifically go over, you'll be able to see these. Like I said, I'm excited to get back. I'm excited to make changes, but just please give us a little bit of time. There's not going to be a lot of changes made directly in this very first season as we look and we adapt and we look at where we can go forward with this program. But I do really value your input. This is a program that we want to get right. We want to do a good job on. We know how important it is. There's not a lot of recreational volleyball in the area. If you don't want to or can't afford to play club, we really want to make sure that we have a good opportunity available here and that we are empowering and letting girls play, or boys play a sport that they want to play. So if you have any suggestions, ideas, thoughts, I really, really value that. I want to make sure that we are benefiting the community. So please reach out. And we'd love to have those conversations and see what we can do, understanding that we're not going to change what we are. We are not a club. We are not travel. We are not competitive. We are still a recreational league, and we are here for everybody. That will still remain our general principle. All right, that's everything I have. That's 18 minutes. Now what we'll do is whatever questions you have, type them in the chat. The only thing I ask is that if you have any questions about your player, if you need to maybe request a different night, if you can't find your player in player space, you can't find your schedule, if you can just shoot me an email with that information. It's very hard for me to answer specific questions about players, but I'm happy to do that if you send me an email, and I'm going to put my email in the chat here in case you don't have it. But if you have any general questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat. And if volleyball is easier and we don't have as many soccer, we had about 30 questions from parents. If volleyball is a little bit easier and nobody has any questions, then we will get out of here early and let y'all get to dinner. Great question. I was waiting for somebody to ask about line judges, so I'm glad you did. We had a lot of discussion about that. We are not adding it this season because we don't have a great way. We kind of went around in circles on how we would do it. It is very high on our priority list of things that we are going to look at and how we do it. And would we pay and bring in and train referees? Would we have parents do it? We're not sure. So we're not going to bring it in this season, but it's very, very high on our list to look at. Yes, you absolutely will need to bring chairs. Another great question. There are minimal amount of benches and chairs in the gym, so you will definitely need to bring chairs if you want to sit. We will have some but a very minimal amount. So if you will need to bring your own chairs into the gym. There are not any open days. We have practices every night pretty much for volleyball. So during volleyball season, we don't have a lot. One of the things, again, that we're looking at is how can we create some of those open play areas for kids in volleyball outside of seasons. But in season specifically, you're pretty much just going to have that one practice day for an hour because everybody else is going to be in the gym throughout the rest of the week. For wait lists, so right now we have not added anybody from the wait list. That doesn't mean we won't necessarily. It typically takes us through the first week of practices to see if anybody's going to leave for the season before we would be able to get that information and go to the wait list. Practices start next week. So it just depends on your assigned day and time. So if you're not sure, if you haven't seen, if you're getting this, if you receive the email with this link, then that means that you should have your player space information. You should be able to go on the player space, look at your schedule, and you'll see the date and the time. And all practices start next week on your assigned day and time. Do parents use? No, I would say it's really tough for me to answer that question because I haven't actually been to a volleyball practice here at Jeep for 2 years. So I will tell you back in the day, it was a general 50-50 mix of parents staying and parents not staying. You're not required to stay. I would recommend being there for the first one, and then you meet the coach and see, and then that's up to you. You're not required to. If you're a member, you are able to walk the track or work out, obviously, while they're practicing. You're not required to stay. For the older kids, I would say that once you get up to the 14, 17-year-olds, it is very rare to see a parent stay for practice. No, it's actually not. The reason that we have this program is for kids that don't have volleyball experience. We've been very firm that our league is a recreational league for anybody and specifically for beginners. So it does not matter if they don't have experience. We want everybody to come here and play. And we have a lot of girls and boys. I need to stop saying girls. We have a lot of players who come to our league who have not played before, who are very new in their experience. So it is perfect and what we want our league to be about. Practice is 1 hour. So 5:30 to 6:30, 6:30 to 7:30, 7:30 to 8:30. And games will last 45 minutes with 10 minutes in between. So I mean that's where we just need to have a conversation. In theory, no, you really can't create a league. The Y is going to have to create that league, so we would have to work together. And I'm really not interested in creating a competitive league. Now, could we look at what does competitive mean, right? What does that look like? Happy to talk about it. Travel is not going to be in our future, but you know what does competitive mean for us? Certainly willing to look at that. Chris, if you could send me, I'm assuming you're talking about Player Space, the website link. If you could send me a email so that I can check and make sure that you have the right information on your Player Space account, and then I can send you that link. We'll go for a couple more minutes if anybody has any questions. We do not have a mandated color for shorts. So like I said, you can see your jersey color in your team name, but we do not mandate a color on the athletic shorts. Some teams try to coordinate, but I will tell you, if you're a parent and you're wondering if that is a league thing or not, we do not care, and we do not have a mandate for short colors. They do not have to match anything. Yes. So if you look if you look in your player space, you should see all of your practices and all of your games scheduled out for the entire season. So great question. Are the coaches trained? So we are a recreational league, right? We are not a club league, which means that all of our coaches are parents. I'd say 35 to 40% of our parents do it because they have played volleyball or understand volleyball and want to be involved, and some don't. We are trying to do more to train. We recognize as a recreational league and a sport of volleyball where there are a lot less people who have played it. For us, it's not hard to find football coaches because people have played the sport and understand it and feel like they can coach it. Where we have found issues is finding coaches for volleyball because parents don't feel as comfortable with the sport. So that's why we are doing things like this coaches clinic on Saturday to try to put as much as possible in front of coaches to give them training and to give them experience. But at the end of the day, we also recognize that we're a recreational league. We're here for the kids. We're here for fun, and that the coaches are going to do their best. And that's why we're here. We recognize that we are not a club league. We do not pay coaches on a salary. And so we don't expect a super high level that you would expect from a club team. We are a recreational league. So that's a great question. That's our expectation of our coaches. No, there will not be games in Irmo this season. So everybody can breathe a sigh of relief. All games will be at the G Progress YMCA this season. These are great questions. I don't want to cut out before anybody. If anybody else has anything, please feel free to drop it in the chat. If we don't get anything in the next, we'll say 30 seconds, I will go ahead and start winding down. Like I said, this meeting will be recorded. We'll get sent to you. We'll send you the rules. And if you have any questions or any specific changes you need for a player, shoot me an email. If you have anything you'd like to talk about, things you'd like to see in the program, happy to talk about it. Again, with the understanding that we're not here to be a club team. We're not here to be a competitive league. We are here to be a recreational league. So how we can do recreational volleyball better and developmental volleyball better, really want to talk about it. I want to see how we can do better and we can improve, keeping it inside of the recreational level. But please come find me, come talk to me. I've already had a lot of great conversations. I'm excited to just continue to look at what we can do and how we can improve. But not seeing any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and end the recording.